Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Battle Brothers Season 3. As today, we're past day 40, and we done woke the dragon. And then promptly killed it, so I guess we're doing okay so far. Though we are almost out of tools, so we do need to get cracking for Karrakan before too much longer. That said, we've also got some tracks headed in the same direction, so let's see where those take us. Obvious signs of combat, so I'm guessing another roving patrol. Yes. And a fairly simple one at that. 3 outlaws. Obviously not much of a threat. Slight threat to our lower level frontliners, I suppose, but should make for a nice, easy warm-up. As the raiders emerge from the ruins of a freshly raised nomad camp, they're confronted by 3 more heavily armored nomads, perhaps scouts intent on reporting back to their now deceased crew. Battle is swiftly joined, the nomads raising their voice in unison as they call out the alarm, no doubt mistakenly believing that their comrades over the rise still yet live. A notion they will swiftly be disabused of. Largest threat's the pole mace. Diego steps up, meeting a nomad outlaw face to face, distracting him just long enough for Rev to plunge his pike into the man's chest. The rest of the raiders rush forward, Annie landing a glancing blow. The last of the outlaws rushing forward to engage as well. A face full of sand briefly dazes McLeod. An underhanded tactic, but not unexpected. Shame that we can't seem to master that technique. Being able to daze people on command would be pretty fantastic. Arrow moves up, carefully picking his shots. And with the battle fully joined, the outlaws' faces fall as they realize their imagined reinforcements are not riding to their rescue. An inexpert slash, and a bandit outlaw falls. Diego moving up to engage the next. The rest of the raiders quickly wrap around, cutting off the outlaws' avenues of escape. The outlaws' faces fall ever further, forced onto the defensive. Shields raised high, projectiles clattering against them from every angle. Until finally, Drak comes in from behind. A well-placed kick, sending the bandit spearman sprawling into some nearby terrain. The spearman hunches back against the pillar, shield held raised. Sand cast haphazardly over Drakiith's face. And that's all the distraction Annie needs. And even as the spearman gapes in shock, Rev steps up, pike plunged through his neck. He sent gasping and sputtering to the sand. Verlin strides forward, spear stowed, dagger in hand. Several of the rookies exchange nervous glances, but then follow suit, skinning knives filling their grips. This unfortunate outlaw's death will not be a good one. But there will be some value to it. Both in experience and in gold. Alright, bud. You can die now. I've got places to be. Blah. The final bandit falls, Drakiith drawing his blade from his back, wiping it clean on his shirt before gesturing. And the rest of the raiders quickly peel what remains of his armor from his now deceased form. Not much to speak of, but still. Worth a few coins. And with that, the raiders move on. Scratch that. As the raiders set their sights on Karrakan, they spy a second group of bandits. Larger, but much more lightly armed. This group was clearly following the first, pushing a ramshackle wagon loaded to the gills with mundane goods. Useful for a camp, perhaps, but not to one looking to make any real gold. As they spy the raiders wiping down their weapons, standing over the corpses of their fellows, they quickly abandon their no doubt ill-gotten gains, which, of course, the raiders promptly ignore, lighting out after the fleeing bandits instead. Oh, these poor guys. Try as they might, the unlucky looters cannot outrun Arrow's bow. Shots rain down around them, one finally piercing a fleeing nomad's hand. And the rest, gasping for breath, drenched in sweat, whirl. They weren't looking for a fight, but one has found them nonetheless. And Diego is the first to engage. Rev steps up behind, a thrust of his pike, and the first bandit falls. Though the rest are quick to rush forward, uneagerly taking his place. A hurled javelin from Tommy catches a bludgeoner just below the ribs. Towards the center, Zarmal makes his presence known, the one-handed bandit dropping with a bloody welter. Rook puts his pike through another spearman's thigh. Drak steps up a second later, his cleaver buried in the man's chest, carving through ribs and inflicting catastrophic damage to his vital organs. And battle rages on. The raiders under no significant threat, but still, one never wants to drop their guard. Blows traded, blades whetted. If nothing else, it tempers the less experienced amongst the raiders' number. Amidst the carnage, Zarmal lops off an ear. An axe bites deep, bandit morale wavers. Rook impales another man on the south. A crushing swing from Rassel catches an unfortunate bandit on the jaw, stoving in half his face. A well-placed arrow sends the last bludgeoner stumbling, clutching at his bloodied side. Zarmal almost casually decapitates the second-to-last bandit. But before he can claim the final kill, Rassel beats him to it. And yeah, as expected, not much worth salvaging on such feeble foes, but we'll take the gold, we'll take the supplies. No reason not to. But of course our big prize here is that level up for Zarmal. Let's get a gander at what we got there. Level 3, so that's dodge. Very important for an initiative-heavy assassin. And stats. Yes, look at that. I mean, with 2 stars in melee and defense, I'd be surprised if we didn't get max rolls. And we'll take the max roll in health. Not bad. Not bad at all. Well done, Raiders. Let's see what we've got going on over here. No luck on scouting. Oh, but we do have footprints. Yeah, I'm not willing to go in blind on crumbling ruins. That's either bandits or ancient undead. Bandits we could probably handle, but ancient undead, on the other hand, are not an ideal matchup for rookies. Though, speaking of bandits, even as the raiders spy upon some nearby suspicious ruins, yet another group of nomads appears over a nearby rise. The largest group yet, their sight seen set on the path behind. Perhaps a rear guard, meant to protect the wagon? Regardless of the reason, they seem none too happy to see the raiders standing near their comrades, now abandoned wares. And once again, battle is joined. The first of the bandits met by the twang of a crossbow, a bolt sinking deep in the man's chest. He stumbles, but still yet stands. A cleaver-wielding bandit rushes to back him up. Too late. A jab of Rev's pike, and the wounded bandit falls. Slingers warily move up from behind. A toss from Tommy pierces a bandit swordsman's arm. Zarmal darts in on the north. A sweep of his curved blade, and a truly alarming amount of blood cascades from beneath the butcher's shirt. His suffering is cut short, though, as an axe buries deep into his sternum. A fate swiftly shared by the bandit swordsman on the south, run through by Rook's pike. And the fight goes on. The nomads, no doubt unnerved by the swift demise of a third of their number, but not ready to back down just yet. Another thrust of Rev's pike, this time slipping seamlessly between a swordsman's ribs. Mark moves up from behind. A bolt flashes across the battlefield, burying an bandit's body. Diego savages another swordsman. Zarmal another still. A quick toss from Balin cuts one down. The second toss arcing farther, clipping the fleeing slinger's head. Rook impales the third on the south. A toss from Tommy, bringing the man down. A swing from Rassel catches a knife-wielding ne'er-do-well on the elbow, his arm practically folding in half. The last bandit slinger rallies. Not that it amounts to much, but still a surprising show of bravado. Another axe, another nomad falls. The bandit slinger, broken once more, turns and sprints for the hills, even as his associates are cut down behind. McLeod gives chase. A deft flick of his thumb. And the last fleeing bandit is given a proper warrior's death. No notable loot, but we will take the gold, obviously, plus whatever else we can fit into our inventory, which will take some finagling. This'll actually take a second. Let me just see what's actually worth holding on to. And good to go. Alright, let's get a look at that level up. How you doing, Mark? Level 3, so that's going to be dodge. Yeah, we want to keep his initiative high anyway if we're going overwhelming gunner. And how are we looking on stats? Okay, we can work with this. We'll take the +5 range, we'll take the +6 initiative, very nice. And we really could have used morale, but I suppose we'll just grab that max on fatigue, why not? For lack of any better options. And we are just about tapped on tools, so let's get Karrakan. Though we do have some more tracks here. Yes, that is definitely a new set of tracks. Ah, guard patrol, right. And just like that, the flood of nomads sent our way makes sense. 2 one skulls and offing, we've got Efreet sightings, we've got a few injuries still in need of treatment. Taxidermist, which does give us a chance to do some much needed crafting. Hyena pelt, fire pots, reinforced nets, apothecary's miracle. How about local recruits? Ah, mostly indebted. Well, we do have one very expensive sellsword. Plus a paranoid caravan guard, which we don't really need. Local sale prices are not ideal. Though local buy prices are not half bad. Could be better, but that's still pretty decent. Also, tools actually aren't that heavily overpriced. Let's get a gander at these jobs. The town's merchant square is rife with business, and apparently you are wanted to be a part of it. A few of the Vizier's finest peddlers are wanting to take a caravan of goods to Angon. A good day of travel. One explains tersely. If the Gilder might look the other way, I pray the so-called soldiers of this town find the world of shade. You, Crownling, I suspect you'd be willing to help us where others are not. For coin, of course. Angled, huh? That's not too far out of our way. That's the fishing town just over yonder, back northeast. Yeah, we'll put a pin in that one. Though hopefully our other contract is slightly more promising. Firi Ibn Wasi, the High Priest, sighs as you enter his room. Ah, a crownling. I had almost forgotten I had requested your sort to come ruin my day. You stare at the Vizier as he is far too belabored to extricate himself from a sea of cushions and the harem of women who are there to fluff each and every one. Well, I suppose I shall sully an hour if only to get this matter settled. Nomads are ravaging my caravans, as they are wont to do, and hereat my markets are deprived of certain goods which I wish to have. I offer you crowns to find and destroy these sand-ridden mites. Kill some bandits, you say? You know what? I think we might be able to manage that. Though I will also note 500 crowns for a one skull does immediately make me suspicious. Nomad retreat south of Karrakan. So not the ruins we saw earlier, this is something else. Oh yeah, right down here. Which also puts us pretty close to some other potential... Well, no. That's positioned in a way there's not likely to be anything else nearby, but I suppose if we're feeling bold, we might wander a bit. But first, inventory management. And then our obvious twist. And we're back, restocked and ready to go, with a few new toys in tow. I set a budget of about 1,000 gold at the local taxidermist. Banked a number of potentially fun items for the future. Though this one, at least, we will use immediately, since we do have a singular set of endgame armor, that being the assassin's robe. Not sure it's quite the best match for a stealth assassin, but, you know, such are the sacrifices you make to seize the initiative. And then, as for the direwolf pelts, we're saving those for our first battle forged. That'll be like hedge knights, sellswords, gladiators, essentially the super heavies we haven't yet started to recruit. Though, with any luck, we should be able to start doing that soon. For I have also noticed that we now qualify for the coveted Recruiter. A bit of a skeevy-looking guy, but definitely very useful when you're trying to look for those high-end, long-term recruits. So that, I think, is one of our next main short-term goals. Recruit the Recruiter. That and further boosting our inventory space, though, that's a much more significant expense. Either way, though, we are in need of more gold, so let's hit that nomad retreat. Really hoping for bandit boss or surprise assassin. Also, footprints. No, another nomad necromancer. Man, these poor nomads just cannot catch a break. Alright, let's go put him down. I am starting to fear, though, that the growing amount of undead we seem to be encountering is a not-so-subtle sign of an impending undead uprising. But I suppose we'll know for sure once we hit day 60 or so. Zarmal moves up ahead of the rest of the raiders. His footfall feather light even against the crunching grit of sand. He gestures for the rest of the raiders to approach. Bowman nods, silently pointing out the blackguard in black, lurking near the back. And the rest of the raiders push up, nervously setting a line, the rookies in particular seeming quite shaken. But the rest of the raiders probably pretty jaded by this sort of sorceress shenaniganery by now. We'll have to get particularly aggressive on this one. Punch a hole, try to get an opening on that necromancer within the first couple of turns. We'll see how this goes. The zombies shamble forth, one quickly outpacing the others, crawling almost spider-like as it hurls itself into Drakiith's shield. The more heavily encumbered of the undead hang back. A horrid honor guard discouraging approach towards their pustulant progenitor. A hurled axe carves a lopsided ear-wide grin in one undead's face. The rest of the raiders push up on the south, surging towards the makeshift guard the necromancer has erected. Whilst the raiders on the north simply seek to hold the line, though the ominously glowing eyes of the malevolent mace man perhaps bode poorly for their chances. Bowman steps up. Raining arrows upon the necromancer's position. A blow slips past Diego's guard, but his armor takes the brunt of the impact. And he moves to reinforce, steadying the stumbling shopkeep. Tommy hangs back for a moment, waiting for other raiders to take the lead. Same with Rook. Let's not overextend just yet. A flash of cleavers and curved blades. The first of the zombies falls. But for how long? Question mark? Main thing to remember is those two-handed cleavers can swing for just 4 AP. We have to be wary about getting too close. Yeah, like this would put McLeod within striking range. A chipped cleaver tears into the shoulder of Zarmal's tunic, turned aside by subtly sewn chain. On the south, Verlin grunts as he's struck as well, though again, a fairly minor impact. Javelin's pincushion, a sword-wielding sepulturite. Rev splits the helm on another. Zarmal wards off strike after strike as Arrow once again takes aim. Another volley, this time an arrow slipping past the undead guard, piercing the fleshy girdle of the necromancer's gut. A flurry of axes, another undead foe, felled. Drakiith surges past it, cleaving the head off another in passing. Annie breaks into a sprint, flanking the Necromancer from the north. Mark pops a bolt into a sinister swordman's forehead, toppling it to the sand. The wounded Necromancer grimaces. A wave of his hand and 2 fallen corpses rise, barring the raider's path. Diego steps in from the side, buying Zarmal some breathing room. McLeod cuts one down on the other. And Verlin tears one down on the south, before beginning his approach on its erstwhile master. A club-wielding corpse stumbles back to its feet. And Bowman lets loose another volley. Val hucks the last of his heavy throwing axes, then switches off to his sling. Rev leaves the teetering terror be, instead planting his pike in the side of a more heavily armored undead. Drakiith gives him a nod, another sweep of his cleaver, and the teetering terror's head topples from its torso. The increasingly nervous Necromancer gestures once more. Increasingly tattered corpses rise. But of course that does little to deter Annie's approach. McLeod cuts down one of the freshly re-risen corpses, the body already barely intact, his blade easily dismembering what remains. And the Necromancer's bodyguards finally lurch backward, sight set on Annie, giving a perfect opening for Verlin and Rook. The latter's pike heralding their arrival as it punctures through the Necromancer's thigh. Valen unleashes a hail of stones, felling one corpse and dazing another, making it easy prey for Zarmal. Bowman continues laying down fire. Rev steps in from the side to add additional support. And Drakiith charges in. As do other raiders, though some are too winded to immediately contribute. Rook wrenches his pike upward, tearing the Necromancer open from thigh to throat. And suddenly deprived of their Dark Master's micromanagement, the remaining undead falter. Still dangerous, but much easier prey. The raiders descend upon them, weapons rising and falling as they hack them to pieces. A grim fate to be certain, but one doubtless well-deserved, given the nomad's proclivities in life. If anything, being delivered from undeath is a small mercy. Though I suppose it does come down to whether they're actually aware. Best to finish them now before our anatomists think to take one for interrogation. And with that, the job is done. Sadly, not much in the way of loot. Slightly surprising for a camp, but we'll take what we got. And we had some footprints to the south, right? Oh no, to the east. No doubt displaced survivors from the Necromancer's hostile takeover. Watching the camp from afar, perhaps hoping to somehow take it back. Only to now find themselves faced with those who succeeded where they themselves had failed. They turn to flee, but it's far, far too late. The raiders gamely give chase. And again, not really anticipating much of a fight, but, you know, we've got rookies, they need the XP. The Nomad's flight is cut short. An arrow from Bowman, puncturing a foot, pinning it in place. The bandit attached stumbles, the rest of his allies briefly considering leaving him behind, but then, to their credit, rallying instead. Only for the first to be met by Diego's blade in turn. And a split second later, Rev runs the man through. Stones thud into the dunes, none finding their mark, as Annie moves to engage the next. McLeod and Verlin doing likewise on the south. Seeing a straight shot to the slingers, Zarmal sprints straight towards them. A toss from Tommy. A javelin pierces a bandit bludgeoner's throat. Mirroring a toss from Val. Rook runs the gurgling bandit through. His death was inevitable, but this, at least, saved him from choking on his own blood. A shot on the run from Mark. A slinger stumbles, bolt protruding from his chest. The other sprints for nearby cover, but Bowman catches him mid-run. An arrow appearing as if by magic through the man's forearm. A garish and ill-advised piercing. On the north, Diego distracts a spearman, buying Rev time to puncture the man's lung. A toss from Val, another gasping bandit drops. Annie rushes the first of the two slingers, while Rook moves to cut off the other. Though he sprints unabated, arrow still almost comically jutting from one arm. McLeod unleashes Warrior, but Warrior goes for the easier target. Yeah, I think that second guy is just gone. Zarmal guts the first brigand slinger. And the second vanishes into the darkness. The Raider's giving half-hearted chase, but he already has such a head start that even the mighty Warrior would be hard-pressed to catch up. As Warrior reaches the top of the nearby rise, McLeod lets out a piercing whistle. The dog pinwheeling back about, trotting over happily as it answers his call. The last of the slingers free to flee. The meager goods carried by his comrades are quickly claimed. And Diego reflects upon what he has learned. Okay, flubbed the melee roll, but we'll definitely take the defense. Then we'll obviously take the max on resolve as well. And either initiative or range defense. Yeah, why not? And gifted to shore up the rest of those numbers. Melee, melee defense, which hits the 20-point target early. And then one more. You know what? Let's go initiative. We still need resolve and fatigue, but might as well eke out that extra point or two. No telling how long it'll be before we max another roll. And that leaves us just south of those mystery ruins, which Yeah, we still haven't scouted them, so methinks we'll just head back. We've had a pretty good run today. No reason to ruin that now. We'll collect our pay, and then I think that will be a good place to call it. Man, no progress on that ambition, though. You know, that's what I really kind of wish they had, is like animal dens that you could discover. Essentially the beast equivalent of camps. The raiders return to Karrakan, where they are swiftly intercepted by one of the servants of the High Priest. Contract paid in full, they are dismissed. Leaving us, yes, in a good place to call it. We've still got that caravan run banked, so we'll save that for next time. But for now, we hit the pause button whilst I buckle down for bookkeeping. Clear some space in our wagon. Local prices still aren't conducive to trade runs, but we can at least unload a number of the items we pulled off those nomads. But yeah, I'll get this all figured off screen. We'll pick up here next time. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Erie V23, Revenant, Alois, Arrow Bowman, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Lady Shayna, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.